was his first starring English language. I mean, this is, everything that he was hoping for it to be. And we got through it, and then once we got started, he was wonderful. I mean, he was in there, and whenever there was a problem, and there were lots of communication problems with the Chinese, and the whole working ethic there is very... If you've been there, then you know about this is somebody's rice bowl, so you don't touch it. I mean, it was so hot when we were filming the mirror scene and I wanted to have fans up on top of the set to blow out the hot air. And nobody would put them up because nobody knew whose job it was, because it had never been done before. And the electricians wouldn't do it, because everybody's afraid that they're going to take work away from somebody else. I mean, you have these giant crews, but everybody gets very little money. But it's a living for everybody, and nobody wants to do anything that would hurt somebody else's potential living. So whenever we run into things like this, which happened often, we'd get Bruce, and Bruce went in there, and they would die for him. I mean, he was just so revered.
Fighting techniques are carefully choreographed by Bruce Lee and the director. Discipline and coordination are the only protection against possible lethal accident. Under this drive for perfection, Lee and the other actors put in over 12 hours of work to recreate a single kung fu sequence. Actresses from Hong Kong add a touch of the exotic to the film in the form of an ancient Chinese art. The tattooing will support the colorful mood of a scene that they'll shoot in a tea house. First, Bruce Lee runs through the grips and reflexes the girls will need to execute kung fu. Then they'll be ready to handle customer John Saxon. For an illusion within an illusion, 8,000 mirrors are brought in to form a set. The cinematographer plans to film the violent but ballet-like action of Bruce Lee and Shun King in slow motion to give the scene a new dimension in action pictures. The director must confine the movement between the actor and the mirrors to hide all possible reflections of cameras and lights. It will take hours of coordination and planning before Robert Klaus and Bruce Lee are set. Martial Arts Academy forms the background for a dangerous and complicated fighting sequence. 200 students and masters will participate in an all-out battle. The company strives for the ultimate in authenticity. Exacting precision must be maintained. For one mistake of an inch or less will provide a disabling injury. Fatigue, produced by rehearsal after rehearsal, became the greatest danger. In Hong Kong, the greatest kung fu fighters in the world are keeping alert under the intense physical strain. There is no other way to make a motion picture called Enter the Dragon.
For me, it's just a sort of wonderful vulnerability. And as we got towards the end of the film, the excitement, I mean, we knew that we had something. And I knew Bruce was thrilled with it. And when we had it all together and Bruce came over and, he just, the joy of seeing this guy having realized a life, his life's dream. And, I felt very good about that, very sort of excited to be part of that.
that came as a shock. I remember that day, my mother and I, we went out shopping for a turntable that I wanted, and I was holding on to that box there, and while my mother was opening the main door. And when we walked in, the phone rang, and my mother picked up the phone while I was trying to open the box, set the thing up. All of a sudden, I heard she was behind me, and I heard, her crying real hard. I turned around, I saw something, she hurt herself or something, but I asked her, I said, what happened? She said, Bruce died. I said, no, can't be.
When I heard that he had died, passed away, I was saddened, and I'm sure everyone else was.